All right, well, it looks like we've made the world's largest dining room table. And that's pretty cool, but it's not really cool. I want to make a castle, like a really nice castle, tiny home. So what I have behind me is a giant wire spool. This thing is about 8 feet in diameter, and it's about 5 feet off the ground. And this is going to be the base of my cabin, my tiny home. As you guys can see, it's very robust. It's like 2, 3, 4 inches thick on the top, and I'm gonna lay it down kind of like a bobbin and build on top of the bobbin. You gonna lift this thing, Don?
Lift? No. Roll, maybe.
Roll, maybe. Yeah. So like I'm putting Don in there for scale. Look how big it is. Don is a big dude, but like that thing dwarfs you.
I'm not huge.
Only problem is it's extremely heavy, and we've got to get it into the forest. I picked this up probably about a year ago at this point. And what's neat about these things is they're discarded because, well, they've served their useful purpose. They used to have like a wire on them, and actually it might have been conduit, like big black pipe on this stuff. And at the end of the day, they end up getting rid of them, and they have to pay somebody to dismantle them and get rid of them. So they kind of give these things away for free if you're inclined to get them. But yeah, like I said, I've been kind of hanging on to this thing for about a year, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make a tiny house out of this thing. This thing is cool. In order to do our site preparation, we first started by removing a lot of the dead trees that are just standing there dead. This forest is about 40 years old. It hasn't been touched in a very long time. So it's actually an extreme fire hazard. So anytime we build a cabin and we remove a lot of the material that's dead standing, we're actually helping the forest by giving it a place for new stuff to grow. A lot of the old trees don't have any vigor left, and they don't actually sequester much carbon as they grow older. So giving, I just ate a black fly. Giving it more light to the forest floor allows more little saplings to grow, in turn sequestering more carbon, which is a good thing. And anytime you have new growth in a forest, it allows all of the furry little creatures that inhabit that forest to have dinner or breakfast or lunch, because right now there's nothing at the forest floor because nothing is growing in this deep, dark forest. All right, if you can tell from over there, this land is a little bit slopey, so we got to level it out slightly because we want a nice flat spot. But it's pretty level. It's off about 5 inches over 8 feet, so we just got to move some dirt from one side to the other in order to give us a flat spot. Although, it's pretty comfy as it is. Oh. A lot of sticks. You want some sticks? Sticks. Stick. So many sticks. You see we can roll it? It does roll. Look how easy that thing rolls. What if we get it rolling and it doesn't stop?
Well, we'll stop.
Yeah, it'll... A movable object, let it go. That's easy. Just keep pushing. Push! Oh no! Where's it going? Oh, it just keeps going. It's rolling. Oh no, what's it gonna hit? Oh, it just keeps going. Keep going! Go! Go! That sort of made it where we wanted it to. What's planned on?
I'm not sure. It's kind of stuck.
It's kind of stuck. We got to roll it back and then kind of straighten it out. It kind of got stuck in these trees. A very narrow opening. We'll probably cut this. This is a dead one. We just straighten it out. It should go. Let me cut some branches off. It's coming anyways. Uh-oh. We got to back it up now. It's like the big wheel from The Price is Right. I've never been on The Price is Right, but I imagine it's this big. Like, you know when the dude...
It doesn't spin as easy.
It does not spin as easy. Doot, doot, doot. We gotta get it through these two trees to go this way. To there.
Look, we're against the tree.
Okay, we're gonna roll it back this way, Smidge. All right, we got it in place roughly where we want it to be. As you can see, it is a monster, and the idea is to flip it over on this prepared area, which is already level. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna put down plastic tarp, which is the bubble building stuff, because we don't want the ground moisture and whatnot coming up and rotting the wood prematurely. I believe if we put a kind of moisture barrier between the spool, which is wood, and the ground, which is dirt and wet, it'll prevent this from turning to mush prematurely. So yeah, that's our plan. As you guys can see, this thing's a monster. Okay, go. That ain't gonna work. That's not gonna work either, is it?
No, I'm gonna bend the wall.
Yeah, you don't want to bend that.
No.
Okay, hang on. All right, before we flip that spool over, we want to make sure our area where we're flipping it to is extremely level, because that thing is really hard to move. So what we're gonna do is check it to make sure it's level. There's a bump right there. It's somewhat level. I don't know if we check it for, it's pretty good that way. All right, it's good that way. I think it's pretty good. So all we have to do now is just flip it over, and it should be pretty much level, and we can start building. All right, so we have the winch line running from the tractor all the way up above the wire spool over here to a thing, and then attached to this guy, which is looped through the spool, and we're gonna hope for the best. I'm kidding. Are we sure it's level? Whoa!
Yep.
Level now. We got the wire spool pretty level. What we figured out, it's been standing in one particular position for far too long, and it's kind of gone out of whack. So we got to put it back in whack. So Dawn is cutting a couple of posts, 4 feet, and we're going to wedge them between there and nail the heck out of it and see if we can get it back into its original shape, which is like 4 feet between the spaces. And then I think once we nail it, we will actually be able to kind of take the spacers out, and it'll just stay like that. That's my plan anyways. This is how far we're out. So once we prop that guy in there, it'll push it up, and it'll push the other side down to make sure we have a nice level surface to work on. Perfect. All right, a couple more, and then that looks much better actually. We have to make ourselves a template. In order to make the template, we're going to use a piece of cardboard, and we're going to trace the circumference of this giant dining room table, because it'll be useful to make the top plate, and it'll be useful in the future to make other things that are going to follow the same radius. Banana.
Frankie, is that the best favorite spot in the world? Hey, Frankie?
Frankie's like, if I don't move, they can't see me. In order to complete my top plate, I used the template that I made earlier and I moved it to the top, and then I traced around it with my Sharpie in order to give myself a guideline on where I was going to cut it with my chainsaw. All right, well, we're 4 months later, we're a little older, and we're into fall season. And we were just like that in the video, just revisiting this thing because, well, the summertime was a little busy and I didn't get around to doing it. So now I want to button this guy up. I need to work on my roof to get my nice pitched roof. So that's what our plan is going forward. That's the plan, is to get the roof on and the cladding on and the interior stuff done and everything else done. But yeah, it was painful to actually watch this thing not be completed for 4 months. A lot of other things happened in that time, but yeah, this thing just didn't get worked on. But I've accumulated more material over the summertime, and I think I have everything that I need to get this thing built. Because, well, if you don't have all the material in place, it's really frustrating to actually just kind of, you know, start and stop and whatnot. So I think I have everything. All the ducks are in a row. We got to get this thing. We got to get the roof on this thing. In order to create my roof structure, I first started with a large cookie-shaped piece of plywood. I laid it out roughly 20 inches in diameter. I used a string line and a pencil, and I created the circle, and then I used my jigsaw, and I cut it out in order to kind of give myself a sort of a platform, because what happens when you create a cone-shaped is that once it meets up in the middle, you're left with a bunch of really thin pieces of wood that just don't work. So as long as I keep about 20 inches from the top of the cone, I'll be able to place a lot of 2x4s, and then once those are up, I could put a cone on top to finish it off. Now, you can use a lot of math in order to figure out what your rafter cut's supposed to be, but what I did was I took a 2x4, I kind of, you know, put it in place, and then had to look at it to see how it looked. I cut it about 3 times in order for it to sort of fit, and then once that was in place, I ended up cutting the bird's mouth to sit on the edge, and then once that was done, I recreated it about 30 times and slowly, methodically worked my way around. I started at 4 corners, and then I divided those 4 corners into 8ths, and then once those 8ths were divided up, I went into 16ths, and I just kept filling in, dividing them in half every time until my entire cookie at the top was filled in with 2x4s, and there you have it. I have a roof structure that is solid and in place. What I did to affix them is I put screws in the top, and then I went around and used a nail gun and nailed them off every so often in order to actually make it solid enough to support the weight of my roof. There was special consideration taken when I was thinking about doing my wall cladding. I had to pick a species of tree that was able to bend, that was moist enough in order to bend. My first thought was cedar, but then I remember I don't like breathing cedar. Cedar kind of irritates my nose. So the second choice was poplar, or you guys may know it as aspen. And I was trying to pick a relatively fresh tree. By fresh tree, I mean a live tree. But then I discovered one that was kind of half, hurting at the top. It needed to be culled, so I ended up choosing that one, and it was going to be long enough to do the entire cladding of the exterior of the cabin. So what I did was I took that tree down, I cut it up into 2 sections around 13 feet long because I knew the circumference of my cabin was about 24 feet, so I wanted a little bit extra. What I discovered once I started milling it was that half of the tree from the pith out was actually started to rot, so there was already some spalting in the wood. Not ideal when you want it to bend, because anytime there is spalting there is weakness in the wood. But I managed to get a lot of wood out of that one log, basically from the pith out. The other side was all fresh poplar, and that stuff was able to bend really easily. What I did in order to bend it was I just kind of started on one side and then kind of stitched my way all the way around the circumference of the cabin, just carefully, slowly, methodically pushing the wood in place in order to actually secure it. And then I used 3-inch deck screws in order to kind of pull it tight. And I used a sort of a board-on-board method in order to work my way up to the top, because if you do the lap joint, what happens is, well, the wood keeps getting wider and wider and wider up to the top, and it just doesn't work. So the board-on-board works really well because you don't really change the circumference or the thickness of your cylinder. So once that was done, I worked all the way up, and the last board, I ended up taking a, just rip it straight and then tucked it underneath the soffits, and done. You got a very interesting cladded sphere, or not sphere, cylinder.
Well, this is going to be my attempt to show you guys how I do the joint. So this here is the where the 2 pieces meet. What I'm going to do is do a double cut at the stud in order to join them together. And as you can see, they're not really the most forgiving or bending things, but they are pretty bendy. That's the one cut. So yeah, this is the double cut, which I'm screwing it in to the stud. All right, we're just buttoning up the top piece of the tar paper. This is just added protection for any water that wants to get in behind our siding. Yeah, if you do spray foam, if you don't have tar paper between the siding and your spray foam, the spray foam will hold on to your siding and you'll never be able to change your siding. Well, you will be able to, but it'll be a lot of effort in order to kind of peel the siding off of the
All right, I'm going to work on some shakes today, some shingles. I need to make some roofing material. I've been collecting these cut-offs from, I think it's cut-offs from like a pole barn or some sort of stick-framed, timber frame structure. These are just offcuts that that they just discard. So they're kind of cool because they're already square and they've got, square edge on all sides. They're just a little bit long and thick, so I just got to cut them up. And so what I've done is I've actually taken, this guy's a little too thick as well, and this guy's already got the mortise and tenons and stuff like that, but it's still got lots of use for it in there. But if what I was trying to do is get some clear stuff, so this stuff is clear, and yeah, no knots in it. So the idea is to cut it into pieces that look like this. So this is a nice nice block of wood, and I can put it into my shake making jig from Norwood and then cut shakes or shingles. Depends which neighborhood you're from. Anyways, they're shingles. They're going to cover the roof, but I need a whole lot of them because I got a pretty big roof. So that's pretty much today's plan, is to cut these guys up into shakes, see how many we can get. But as you can see, It's a fair size log, and you can actually see it's a pretty good specimen because the rings are nice and tight, so we'll have nice tight shingles. You can see that. It's a very old tree. I don't know if you can actually tell how old it is, but this is all recycled material. These are cast-offs from some sort of timber frame structure. So these should work good, and yeah, let's get started. This is a lap siding or shingle maker. So what the idea is, you take the board and you lock it in place in here, and you use this little corkscrewy thing, and it holds the board in place. You can adjust it for how wide you want your material is, and then these little teeth hold it in place. So what you do, and then what you can do is you cut one, and then you move the handle, and it kind of pivots the thing from side to side, giving you that angle on the shake. And then what these are all connected together, so you can do 4 blocks at the same time. It makes quick work of it in order to make shingles. But yeah, if you guys are looking for one of these, Norwood's got them. They're pretty cool. I've had this for a while, and it's made a lot of shake.
Alright, well, I want to show you this jig I made the other day, and it allows me to cut the shakes at an angle, because if you've ever roofed a cone before, everything kind of tapers up, and this little guy here is gonna allow it to be really easy. So what I got to do is I've already made a template, and this allows me to check the taper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark on the shingle the taper that I need. Now normally you would use a saw, you draw a straight line, and then you would just kind of cut it like that, but this way I've got my circular saw rigged up in sort of a track system where I can put my shake, line it up to the marks, do a plunge cut, and rinse and repeat, because I need about a lot of shake. This one I just got to mark the other side. And then I just take it and I plunge cut it. There. And now I can just rinse and repeat and do a billion shakes, or shingles, whatever these things are called. Yeah, you can't help. Come on, Frankie. There you go. All right, take you up on a little bit of a tour on how I figured out the angle of which the shake needs to be cut at. This is, well, we're going up to the rocket shed the other day. I put the tar paper on, which gives me a sort of waterproof seal on that guy. So what I've done is, if I can show you that, there is a dowel on the top, very top of the roof. And then what I've done is I've added a string line, and it allows me to kind of pivot and go around the top of the cone, and then I can actually have a straight line. So this is my starter course right here, and if I run my line like that, that shows my angle at which to cut. I can actually get this to fit. I don't know if you guys are upside down or not. You can see the line. All right, I'm gonna shake. So, I'm gonna make sure I start relatively straight. So there's my line where my shingle is gonna be. Check on the other side. We can go down this way. We want to start on my little drip edge. And that'll basically allow me to ensure my shakes remain straight up and down all the way around, and then you can figure out your next angle the further you go up all the way to the top. So that's a neat little trick that I've learned through trial and error. Well, I figured to give you guys a first-person perspective on what exactly this looks like, how much fun it is. All right, so I got my shake. Don's cutting more shake, and I gotta fill in from this side over here to this side over here. So I need my nail gun, go back down. Hopefully the shakes don't hit me in the face. And then I go get my stapler, which is over there. So we take this guy. There, you guys can see that I lean it on top of there. And I got my shake. And then I'm kind of lining it up. I got my string line over there. And then that guy, and I want it to be a little shorter, so I'm gonna mark it. Draw my line. Use my skill saw. Cut that guy, and then balance everything. And then over here, I got my line. And if you look really closely, you can actually see where the shingle ends up. I end up with having 3 layers of material, plus the 4th, which is the tar paper. So that's where I want to bring my shingle shake down to. All right, a little crash course on how to make a cone. Well, first of all, download a pattern from the internet. By download a pattern, I mean have a look at the pattern and see what it looks like. Basically, it looks like a giant Pac-Man. So, I don't know if you guys can see that, giant Pac-Man. And that's what it kind of looks like. You basically determine your circumference and then and your diameter, and then you have to make how long the slant is. And what you do is I made 2 half circles and then kind of rolled it up like a cone. I don't know if I can do it in the wind. I rolled it up like a cone until my diameter was exactly the way I made the template on the roof, which I took a little stick like this and I put it on the roof, and that gave me my slant, and that's how I did it. I'm sure there's a way to do it with math. I did not do it with math. I did it with a template and just kind of figuring it out, and I left with this thing, which is a cone. So what I did is I took the template and I transferred it to a piece of stainless steel that I had kicking around. It was an old piece of duct, actually, and I made a cone. And then what I did was I took some rivets and put it down the side there in order to secure it. And then I wrote a bead of silicone on the inside to make it waterproof. Now this thing is going to go on the roof and complete the top of the spire. That's pretty exciting. All right, so I'm I'm left with a giant hole in the top of this thing, and I like to use them as a time capsule. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a fork in there because I think it's kind of cool. It's a thing, seashell, and then Big Shiny Tune 6, I think it's Big Shiny Tune 6. And then probably, you could fill this thing up with all sorts of stuff because nobody's really going to come up here. A bunch of pennies. And that's all I had that I didn't like. So anyways, I think somebody will be happy to find that. And then I put the cone on top, and whenever anything takes this thing apart, they'll have a little bit of a treasure. Maybe I'll put that so it doesn't get wet. It gets damp or humid. Let's put it up on an angle. There, Big Shiny Tunes is safe up there. Seashell and a fork. All right, let's see if I can do this one-handed. All right. Cone, cone, come on, cone, cone. Ugh. Go. There. It's a perfect fit because it's a template. Now, chances are you could just leave this like this and it wouldn't go anywhere because it is pretty friction fit. But what I like to do is add a little bit of silicone around the edge, and what that does is it just kind of sticks it in place. You can also use construction adhesive, but as you can see, that thing is very durable. I could use copper, but I don't have any copper, so I use stainless. Anyways, quick boo of the inside because you guys didn't see the inside, but as you can see, there's the top roof, and that'll all come down now that everything's secured. All right, well, if you guys stuck around this long, you guys are probably interested in what happens next. So what I have planned in this guy to build is some, well, I need some windows in this thing. So I was thinking a bunch of windows up high, and then maybe a main window just kind of looking out into the bush area here. And then what I got to do is finish this ceiling up here because it's spectacular. I'm going to try to do some sort of like a space theme, or like stars or a moon or something. That's kind of, it's kind of cool. It happens to be like 14 feet tall. Yeah, so it's really big. And the footprint on here is about 8 foot in diameter. So I got lots of room to play and do some really cool things. So I'm just going to, yeah, I don't know, maybe you guys got some great ideas. Put them down in the comments down below. I'd be sure to read all my comments. And like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and join me on the next one.